while and you feel like you've hit a plateau and you're just not improving anymore. You've upgraded your hardware, but you're still not able to be as fast as you would like. Well, guess what? I did that too, okay? I'm as guilty as you are. And that's exactly why Racine and myself created what we call the advanced way to learn. By using the techniques that we're about to show you, we were able to win national championships, and we're now coaching real-life drivers and sim racers all across the globe. So let me tell you why you absolutely need this to improve your racing skills. On this platform, you'll go through 5 learning steps. The first one is going to be to watch video lessons so you can take in all that theory. The second step will be to answer quizzes. We've created some questions to test your knowledge. Next, you'll have to partake in challenges. Here, you'll have to prove to yourself that you can apply what you've learned. You'll go on track and you'll try to beat the instructor's lap times or sector times. Following the challenge, you'll be able to send your onboard replay so instructors and other community members can help you improve. And lastly, you can get involved in the community to meet some new teammates and learn from others. This platform is a back and forth discussion between us, the instructor, and you, the students. If you're serious about becoming the best driver out there, this is the advanced way to learn.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Hello everybody and welcome to Charlotte as the only road course round of the PRL Cup Series for Season 4 of 2024 is set to get underway. We're at the Roval, famously used for the last 7 or 8 years or so in the NASCAR series in the real world. Now it's being taken to the PRL Cup Series for the fourth round of our season this time round. It's myself, Ian Lear, and Lorenzo Pondo alongside me for this round of the championship. Our long-timed races return, of course, this time to road course racing. It's good to be back alongside you, Lorenzo, after a very exciting Talladega 1 week ago, I think it's fair to say, but it'll be a very different race here today. A minute 20 around this circuit, a different Roval circuit than what we've seen in years gone by as well, for our only road course venture in the Season 4 calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going from the Roval, from the plate racing into Roval, so a complete different dynamic in terms of racing. It's going to be a little of an interesting race for us to go on, where we're going to see now the true road specialists coming in, and this might be the golden opportunity to maybe, you know, if you're all the way back in the championship, maybe conquer some points that you lost early on.
A couple of mile and a halves coming up after this, of course, and then a couple of short tracks before a final plate track to end out the season. So this kind of racing will only be appearing once, the Roval round number 4. After the chaos at Talladega, it was another good day for James O'Brien, who still leads the championship, 5 points ahead of Jean-Michel Gagnon, and Abner Acosta, who got caught up in a late crash a week ago. He lost some key points in that crash. The winner, Unai Yamas, rocketed up to 4th place ahead of Robert Bisor Jr., with Mark Catlin and Gabriel Perry the only other drivers to have more than 100 points. Jose Medina Machidini and Stephen Kirby round out the top 10 in the point standings. In the team standings, private label Team Hype did take a little bit of a hit, but they are still leading by some distance. Their gap 47 over Silpic Precision Racing. TDI Motorsports are 68 back, with Waterback Racing already over 100 points back in the Cup Series teams standings. So that's where we stand after just 3 rounds of competition. Before we go any further, let's thank the sponsors that make these broadcasts possible, starting with Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. RaceSpot offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision 5 coupon code. Bookkicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. And finally, Advanced Motorsports. Get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. Big thanks to all of those sponsors who make these broadcasts possible here every night on RaceSpotTV. I say every night, 5 nights a week here on RaceSpotTV. Back, of course, tomorrow with LMP3 and GT4 action, as we always are on Monday night. There is the number 13, Lorenzo Unai Yamas. I mean, what a win it was at Talladega 1 week ago. A spectacular finish to the race and a surprise winner as well at the very end of it. It's not unusual at Talladega. Unai Yamas is the 41st driver to have won at Talladega in a PRO race. Excuse me, 29th different driver to win at Talladega. He's a 41st different driver to win in the Cup Series, but 29th different driver to win at Talladega. That's a staggering amount of different winners for just one circuit, at a circuit that always throws up surprises.
Yeah, we are always expecting the big one at Talladega. It's the nature of plate racing. You know it's going to be carnage from start to finish. Surprisingly, I know I haven't been able to watch. I watched a few snippets before this race even began. Is how curiously shifted the race was actually done. You know, even barely no yellow flags, if not no yellow flags at all. Only the chaos at the end kind of dictated how the things kind of like went, but after that, Unai Yamas putting himself in a premium position in the championship. Hopefully, let's see if it's gonna continue on this trend.
Patrick Cowgill in our Discord, by the way, posts some great statistics after the race, so I'll just give you a few of them. Unai Yamas was the 6th different winner in 6 Octobers, so 6 years, in the PRL Cup Series. That's every different time we've run Talladega in October, we've seen a different winner. Mike Richter took pole position, his 2nd in the Cup Series, and he was able to lead laps, of course, but leading laps for the first time, Alex Hillman and Unai Yamas both led their first PRL Cup Series laps last time out, and looking forward to tonight because Lou Christian is on the grid in the number 21. You've just seen him go into 2nd position in this qualifying session. He's set to make his 100th PRL start here tonight, so a big milestone coming for him. Let's chat a little bit about this road course. I mean, it still feels very relatively new, actually. feels like one of the better road courses, actually, in my estimation, anyway, of the ones that you can get on a NASCAR schedule. Even though Rovals do have their natural drawbacks, I personally believe. But anyway, it has of course changed a little bit in real life. But here we're taking that tighter right-hander up here over the rise there at turn 6, then going into turn 7, and then 8. So turn 8 is not the tight hairpin you will have seen this week in the real life NASCAR racing. Instead, turn 7 or turn 6, I should say, is a tighter right-hander that takes you over the rise. So just a little bit of a change there, and it will be a fairly notable one, because that takes away a big overtaking opportunity. That tight hairpin has been a great chance this weekend in real life, but they're not going to have that in the sim this weekend.
Yeah, even saw like SVG or Shane Van Gisbergen, for those who are not accustomed with his nickname, doing a 2-for-1 at the hairpin. I'm gonna be quite interested to see when iRacing brings the new version of the track into this current layout that we have over here in Charlotte, as drivers are gonna do their time. It still retains the technicality of the going to the backstretch, the chicane, and doing the final corners, which are basically hit or miss, because if you don't hit the first section of the corner, you're basically not gonna get a good lap. The trick part over here is for you to get a good quali lap. The weather is a little bit hotter than I think the official series are kind of like running, and I know the NASCAR iRacing series kind of ran as well. So the laps are about, I would say, about 2 seconds higher. So I think it might be a tire management race than a fuel management race, because especially we have no yellow flags on this one. Yeah, unless there is a total track blockage, which is pretty unlikely. We will not see any yellow flags here tonight. That'll be the only time that we see a clean green race. Although, so having said that, Talladega didn't get a caution flag and right the way through it either. So it can happen, as we saw 1 week ago. There's a look at Pat Harvey, currently running in 3rd place in this session at the moment. Pat Harvey currently 16th in the point standings after missing Talladega 1 week ago. Now, a driver who's missing tonight, which is a real surprise and disappointment for us, is Abner Acosta, I'm afraid, who is not here today. Always so good on road courses, and you would expect him to maybe extend his all-time pole record in the PRL, which he currently holds by 5 pole positions over Bradley Holly. Abner Acosta's got 80, and he's one of those drivers you really fancy around a road course because he's just so good at them. But he's not here today. That leaves a bit of a void, really, and allows everybody else to maybe step into that void, and maybe we'll see a surprise winner here today. Well, personally, I think anyone who wins that's not Abner Acosta on a road course will be a surprise winner, so it's up for grabs for absolutely everybody here. Yeah, it makes the race kind of open, because Abner is more accustomed with, doing other cars and things like that. So he has that background knowledge on being more used on road courses than, like, for example, Pat Harvey is. Like, he just destroyed his car on the exit of the corner and basically invalidated his time. The question is I know James O'Brien is a very capable driver. Can he hold Lamas? Can he hold Harvey? Bissau, I think, can be a surprise. Galen could go up in the field. I would just say it's all about surviving the lap 1 chaos, and then kind of like calm himself down, calm the nerves, and then just go on with the full hour race. I estimate about 48 to 50 laps in that range if we're going to 1 minute 20 per lap.
And Gabriel Perry was fastest in practice, but down in 7th here, I'm afraid. A second and a half behind James O'Brien, who looks like he's taken pole position here today. Just how damaging will that be, starting right in the middle of the pack for Gabriel Perry in 7th place for the Kansas winner?
Yeah, one thing you really don't want to be doing on road courses like this, especially the Roval, which is very, very, very tight, and it's hard for you to overtake. You kind of have to overcommit to do an overtake, especially going around the merge into the oval part. Is going to be basically stretch your tires earlier. You're not going to have grip as your run goes on, and depending on the fuel, going like 36, 37 laps, 34 laps might dictate the difference on a win or a loss over here.
Let's wait and see as the time ticks down. Looks like it's going to be James O'Brien's 32nd pole position in the PRL Cup Series. That ties him 7th all time with David Holland in the list. He's also looking tonight, by the way, for his 200th top 10 is James O'Brien. That would be a milestone he could reach here today, should he finish ahead of only 4 drivers tonight. He will get that record, and maybe he'll go on to win as well, which will be a quarter of a century of wins for him. Would move him to 9th all-time on his own, rather than being tied with Benjamin Perez, as he currently is in the all-time drivers winners list. Some statistic for you there to head out this race. We're almost ready to go for what the server is predicting to be 45 laps of racing. Okay. I think we might even get a couple more than that. Let's wait and see. James O'Brien will be starting from the front ahead of last week's winner Unai Yamas, with Pat Harvey and Robert Bishaw Jr. sharing row 2. In Lou Christian's 100th PRL start, it will be 5th place for him, ahead of Mark Kalin, the first driver, over a second back. Gabriel Perry might be disappointed with 7th, the season alongside Brandon Walter. Scotty Johnson and Mathieu Denis round out the top 10. And then those who didn't set times, Jeff Chandler and Jose Medina are on row 6, ahead of Stephen Kirby and Mike Richter on row 7. So Richter having to start from the very back of the field. A stark contrast to where he finished, or indeed started the race 1 week ago, where he took his 5th pole in the PRL and 2nd in the Cup Series all time. So that's how we stand as they get themselves onto the grid. I mean, the pole sitter does always hold an advantage, as you've been talking about, Lorenzo. The track position is important, but, you know, nobody is going to be insurmountable here. It's going to be an hour-long race, going to be a tricky race, and as you say, there's going to be a lot of strategy as far as tyres are concerned here, and plenty of ebbs and flows throughout this one, I would expect, with no clear favourite for this race.
No, I don't think there's a clear favorite. Normally you would say, okay, James, because he's the pole, and I think the more used driver, with driving like more into high-end splits and things like that, he probably would be the go-to driver to win this race. And it's all about how far he breaks away from like Unai Lamas, Pat Harvey, Bishaw, and all the rest of the grid. But let's just see how lap 1 over here happens, because it's easy for you to overshoot the brakes, and a human mistake from O'Brien, for example, can deteriorate the rest of his race moving forward.
Let's wait and see as the drivers make their way up towards the start-finish line. The final chicane, of course, which I'm sure we'll talk about plenty throughout the hour of racing to come. Plenty of strategy to play out. Will these drivers make a pit stop at all? When will they make them, if indeed they do? You'd imagine pit stops will be required with the tyre wear we'll be seeing at the Roval here this evening, as James O'Brien just warms up the brakes a little bit as much as possible on the way into this final chicane. With the pace car now pulling in, James O'Brien will be in control of the field in the final chicane, and it will be ready to go racing at Charlotte. It's racing at the Roval, ready to go again. James O'Brien taking it from pole position to the green flag, and immediately the top 3 settle into single file, knowing there's a long race ahead of them. James O'Brien takes the lead ahead of Unai Yamas, with Pat Harvey in 3rd. Robert Bishaw Jr. and Lou Christian go side by side initially. Christian loses out there, and it looks like Robert Bishaw Jr. is going to be under pressure now from Kalin as Christian comes back again, gets into 4th, and so that'll be the only switch of the top 5. Lou Christian up to 4th position. Mark Kalin now crawling all over the back of Robert Bishaw Jr. into the middle sector for the first time.
Yeah, and apparently from what it looks like, Bishaw made a little bit of a mistake on the reacceleration coming out of the chicane, so that's why allow Luke Christian to catch that 4th place and be in a draftable position out to Pat Harvey. The gap is about 1 second, 1.2 seconds. It's doable. It's going to be on more Luke Christian to get an approach, use more of his tires. But let's see how the race will go on, as now we're looking to Mark Scalen's chase on Bishaw.
Yeah, Perry is very close to Kalin here, not that we can see from this camera angle, but either way, he'll be looking over his shoulder just as much as he's looking forward here. And as I say that, Perry misses the chicane by looks. Walter misses the chicane and has to slow down. Further back, Mike Richter has been getting through on Jose Medina. That's for 11th place as they go in towards the final chicane for the first time. Big lock up from Lou Christian. Smoke up ahead, and they all get through nicely, but that's a big moment down into the chicane that you can really not afford to be locking the tyres up this early.
No, you're not going to be able to knock, especially though that right-hand side where you're going to need the grip. around the corners, and unfortunately it's just chaos. Brendan Walters, they just going from bad to worse, losing several positions, maybe still with the slowdown early on, but we cannot say that for sure for the 99. Let's see how that race will progress.
Yep, it's been plenty of time lost for Jose Medina as well early on here. Sliding off the road goes Luke Christian in his 100th PRL start. He's hit the wall, found the wall on turn 2 as Luke Christian. He regains control, and he doesn't seem to have done too much damage, but he definitely seemed to slide into the wall there.
Oh, he done some damage in the tires. You cannot damage the tires early on. He's going to be a sitting duck, I would say, as the lap progresses. Early turn in, the car just goes a little bit skidding off to the back end, going into the barrier right there. Maybe some rear right damage on his car, but I don't know how that would affect the stability overall of his number 21 car.
Yeah, we'll see as they make their way out of the back straight chicane. This is Perry putting the pressure onto Kalin, and this is the problem you were talking about a little bit earlier on about track position. Perry might well be quicker than Kalin right now, and that much is clear, but it's about working your way through, and that's not so easy to do around on this Roval, especially at this layout. If it was the modern day layout, they would be able to just dive down the inside at turn 7. However, it's not really quite that easy round here, although that will make it easier. Mark Kalin slaps the wall at turn 3.
And I would say that's more of a blistering issue from Mark Kalin. I think the car is going to be quite damaged on the side left panel of his Camaro, of his Mustang rather, than anything else.
And already you can see him losing time. Looks like he certainly has lost some crucial parts, I would say. At least damaged them. Jose Medina's in pit lane, by the way, here already. Not sure why, but it wasn't. He didn't qualify, and now he's barely racing down here in the opening minutes. So he'll be a lap down already in what's going to be a very spread field indeed. As by the end of this race, I would expect. We always do see this at road courses, but the spread of the field is going to be very, very large by the end, and we'll see how many we have on the lead lap by the end, but it's not going to be very many, I wouldn't expect, with James O'Brien at the front of the field putting the pace on. Luke Christian and Mark Kalin now go side by side as Kalin comes into the pit lane to repair that damage.
Surprisingly, the head was very hard. We're going to look on the replay what happened to Medina.
He slid out of turn 1 there, and I think I think the crash has already happened, and now he's suffering with the damage. And that will be a trip back to pit lane for him. That's why he decided to go back to pit lane. Oh dear, that was Chandler maybe recovering from this. This is the slide, and there you go. That's a slap on the wall. That will give you fairly hefty damage.
Yeah, cold tires. I think you can attribute that to cold tires.
Even 5 minutes in?
Yeah, they're kind of cold. They take about, because the Roval is not that large. The Roval is surprisingly short. Is about 3 kilometers wide. It's a 2.28 mile track. It's a little bit larger than the normal 2-mile track that you have the oval, of course. But it's a very tight, so it takes a little bit of a while for your tires to set in.
That's why Jeff Chandler was dropping back so quickly earlier on, by the way, in 12th place for the number 30. You're right, at 3.6 kilometers round here, 2.28 miles around this layout of the Roval. Anyway, there's more tyre smoke into the final corner. I mean, we are expecting a tyre change at some point, I would have thought, in this race, but if you're locking up the tyres already with barely 5 minutes gone, your tyres are going to be screaming by the end of the stint.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're, like I said before, you're going to be a sitting duck because you need the grip. You need all the grip you can get, especially towards the latter portions. You can, I think on this weather, and if we can get the weather conditions over here, that would be really good for us to properly break down what would be the lap average. It's kind of like you need to nurse the tires for you to be consistent. You can be consistent, like do 21s, 22s, 23s, some average. Be consistent on it, be fast on it. You just kind of have to nurse the car around. That's the name of the game around Charlotte.
Gabriel Perry, by the way, has caught Robert Visor Jr. The battle's on for 4th place right now between the 3 and the 18. This is Gabriel Perry trying to work his way through the order after a poor qualifying performance. And look at that run out of the backstretch chicane. Round turn 13 and 14 they'll go. NASCAR turns 3 and 4. And through goes Gabriel Perry. He is quick, Perry. That much is clear. But it's about working your way through the field, bouncing over those sausage curbs. And Bissell Jr. gets it wrong. The Turtles in the final part of the lap there have unstuck the 3. And Rob Bissell Jr. not only loses 4th place, but loses 5th place in a spin as well.
Traditional reacceleration coming out of the corner done wrong, unfortunately. Now more issues. I think that's Brendan Walter having also issues for the private label Team Hype number 99 Chevy Camaro. So still in the race though, but it's that difficulty with the fixed setup and things like that. If you're not used to it, you're going to be in a long day next to hell.
Got a question coming in as we look at what happened to Brandon Walter. It's like he tried to get himself back going a couple of times there, a couple of false restarts, but he's back underway now in 11th place. Got a question coming in from YouTube chat about the cautions on road courses. Do they work the same on a road course as an oval, or does it work like road series racing cautions, i.e. basically
road
never?
Series.
It is, yes, it is like road series. We heard from I think it was Mark Kalin who said in the Discord earlier on today that caution would only be thrown in case of a full track blockage. Likely that would only really come at the start of the race, so it's safe to presume we're not going to get any cautions here, just as we don't get so many in road course racing in real life when NASCAR Cup Series racing goes road course racing, even on the Roval here. I mean, earlier today I think we had a 40-odd, 30-odd, 40-odd lap green flag run to the very end. You know, we're going to have something like that length of run in our entire race here. So, you know, it's not unheard of for it to happen in real life. That sort of similar run is going to happen here, and a lot is going to evolve through the hour here today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to develop quite consistently how the race will kind of like go on in a certain sense. Like I said before, there will be pit stops, and I can tell you this much, Ewan. You need to pit stop at a certain point in this race. I would say the window opens up about lap 10-ish, 10, 11, where if you're going to be really aggressive on the fuel saving, of course. But other than that, is just get your car rolling and get it rolling and see if you can get all the 34 laps maybe on your fuel stint.
What would you make of a really aggressive strategy to pit twice here? So, you know, split the race into thirds maybe and keep really fresh tyres and really burn through your tyres here. Would you just lose too much time coming down pit lane twice?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
I would say go as I've done that in Indy. When I've done Indy like IR18 races where you kind of have to change the tire compounds. You've also probably seen it when you have to change the tire compounds and everything. You kind of can do that kind of thing, you know, maybe split the race into thirds, going into primaries or something like it, or the alternates to minimize the tire tread on the latter portion of the stint. But in here, you want to nurse the car as much as you want. You want to be consistent as much as you possibly can, and then get to the end. Do the full fuel stint. There's no the only alternate strategy, if you had a yellow flag like real life kind of like does from time to time, where maybe you can pit down the middle, like just say lap 24, then immediately during your run you get a yellow flag. You know what I'm saying? So it's quite tricky to go on into road series rules in a race like this.
Oh, for 7th between Scotty Johnson and Mathieu Denis. Closest battle currently out on the circuit, and it's quite a big group actually, from Johnson right the way back to Brandon Walter, arguably in 11th place, who's only about 4 seconds behind this battle. It's relatively close as far as road course racing is concerned as they go through the turn 11 chicane, which is a lot tighter than it used to be. I'm sure many of you may remember the 2018 layout where it was dumb look sometimes as to whether you were going to make it out alive or not. But thankfully it's a little bit more skillful these days. But the interesting that the final chicane hasn't really changed very much. It's a real steep decline, or descent I should say, off of turn 14 off the oval, turning left, sharp left to slow it up for 15, and then the actual right-hander at turn 16. And of course the turtles are there from, not there in real life anymore, quite so prevalent, but they are there in sim, and you have to work around them. It's a very difficult chicane indeed, and I'm sure we're going to see some more incidents through there. We've already seen a couple of people dropping it on the power, getting up towards the line.
Oh,
it's Pat Harvey's off.
Harvey.
What's happened to Pat Harvey?
Connection issues, maybe?
Yeah, possibly. Looks like it's at the final chicane, or I should say the back straight chicane. It is a disconnection, I'm afraid, for Pat Harvey. That is a real shame for Harvey. He was running well inside the top 10 and has unfortunately disconnected from this race.
Fortunately for Harvey, he has drop points, so that might be his drop points in the race. As Lamas has a big issue. Perry's in second.
Indeed, Yamas has had a big issue. We'll have another look at that. That's not a disconnection. That is certainly a spin, and he's gone in too hot here. You can see that immediately. Although it wasn't that did it for him in the end. It was turn 1 by looks things, braking too late and locking it up. Oh, that's an awkward hit on the wall as well. That's pretty hard. Unai Yamas is lucky to get away with that, and he's still running third.
It's so weird that the car doesn't want to turn in.
Yeah. Very
like
weird.
I said, the name of the game, Ewan. Roll. I've done. Oh, never mind. Go back to you.
That was a spin there for who was that? Jose Medina, it might be. Yeah. Unai Yamas now overtaken by Luke Christian. I wonder whether that has done some damage to the 13.
I believe so. Because that was a frontal hit, that has got them probably put the car under some instant stress. Kaelin's in the pits again. I'll tell you, like, if the road course racing for NASCAR is just another beast. It's not anybody that actually can do it properly. It's just real tough.
Yeah, very difficult indeed. And we're seeing that here. Battle for now 6th place, Scotty Johnson still leads ahead of Unai Yamas, ahead of Mathieu Denis, Mike Richter and Stephen Kirby. And you can maybe just see in the background Brandon Walter as well. And this is by far the closest group on the circuit now, as Pat Harvey has still disconnected, by the way, from his 185th PRL start. It's a real shame for him to see him out of the race so early on. And as you said, Jose Medina is still running around a little bit slowly at the moment after having that incident early on. He's now 4 laps down with still 45 minutes to go. Denis putting pressure on Scotty Johnson here, and quite large pressure as well, but for the moment Johnson's holding tough and holding 6th place.
Yeah, by the way, real quick, Ewan, I was looking at the lap times. Don't sleep on Gabriel Perry, by the way. That gap is going down like a rocket.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely correct to point that out. He is going quickly at the moment, Gabriel Perry. And given the fact that he's not had to overtake Unai Yamas or Pat Harvey on the circuit, I think he's gained a bit of time as a result of that. So it's not going to happen in the next few laps, but eventually Gabriel Perry might well be challenging for the lead here.
Absolutely. Just the last lap was a 4/10 faster, literally 4/10 faster than O'Brien on the previous lap.
This is last week's pole sitter, Mike Richter, in the number 51, just in the Solpec Racing colours. Teammate Mark Kaelin is still in the pit lane and has been now stopped for a couple of minutes, unfortunately. It's a shame for Kaelin. Scotty Johnson, by the way, today at the head of this group, is making his 99th PRL start, getting very close to that magic 100. As plenty of people are indeed in the PRL these days. Do you want to give a guess, Lorenzo, how many people have made 100 PRL starts or more?
Okay. Give me an over and under, okay? For the PRL's history, man, I know it's a long one. I would say series, about 30. Yeah, I would say about 30.
You are miles under. where you need to be. 98 drivers have done it. 98 drivers have made 100 starts or more. Yep. So there you go.
Damn.
There you go. It's a very popular series. As into the pit lane comes Uno Yamas, and this is not a bad idea, I don't think, for Yamas. Maybe that damage. Well, clearly it's holding him back at the moment. Let's just cut losses here, come into pit lane, make it a two-stop strategy, and get the damage repaired.
Yeah, you're probably going to repair the bonnet a little bit, and I don't know how much that will fix the car, make it very drivable, but because you've wasted the rubber trying to break the car in, trying to turn in so much, you might get that grip back. So Lamas just now has to go on a recovery race and just be consistent. The question is, how long is he willing to stay on the pit lane? Yeah,
at the moment it's creeping up far longer than it should be, I'm afraid, for Yamas. So that is going to be at the end of his challenge for a real top position. And it's a shame, really, because he is, as far as drivers in this race today are concerned, the closest to James O'Brien in the point standings. And 18 behind him at the start of the day, which is actually quite a lot in the point system that we have here. However, a good result today and even a small loss or maybe a small gain on O'Brien could have put Yamas in the conversation in the final 5 rounds, but this is going to set him back a little bit.
But then again, that might be his drop points race, depending on how Lama is actually going to be consistent in the championship. So that could actually be his saving grace. Meanwhile, I was just looking over here. Lap from O'Brien, 7/10 of 21.7, whereas Gabriel Perry 21.6. Previous lap, 21.0 for O'Brien, 21.2. Nearly the fastest lap of the race was actually done by Perry again. 0.8 of a second that was actually cut. That is righteously insane. Like I said, it's about consistency in this car and keeping the tires clean.
Oh, that was very close. Goodness me. Mathieu Denis so close to the back of Scotty Johnson in towards 3 and 4 there. And now up towards turn 5, which they... oh yes, you're right. So we do have all 14 back again, although Mark Kalin's still getting some repairs down in pit lane, by the way. So we'll leave him to it just for the moment. They all go wide here, and this could be a chance for Stephen Kirby, because the Solpec teammates, Denny and Richter, both followed each other very wide indeed through turn 8 there. And will there be an exchange now between the teammates, or will there be an attack from Kirby? None of the above, in fact, on the way towards the back straight chicane, and still they can't find their way past Scotty Johnson.
You're playing with fire, in my opinion. I would say do the swap. Right now, I think for both Mathieu Denis and Richter, you're not gaining any ground on Scotty Johnson. You need to swap. There you go.
And into pit lane for Mathieu Denis. So
early pit stop.
Yeah, very early pit stop. Wonder how far these guys can go on fuel. 40 minutes is of course 2/3 of this race remaining, as you will have noticed. 45 laps, 44 laps is sort of what we're looking at here. So I guess maybe they think they can go 30 laps on fuel. I guess that would be reasonable.
Yeah. What I got from data coming from my teammates that do NASCAR, and I'm actually going to choose the guy that I've asked to because he's trying to go to Road to Pro next season. 37.5 is how long you can actually go in the can, depending on how conservative you push on the car.
37.5 laps. Yeah. You mean? Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Because if it was minutes, we're going to have a problem.
No, that would be problematic.
That's all right. Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
No.
Only 6 seconds in the box though for Mathieu Denis. That suggests he did get a full tank in, and suggests he only took 2 tyres as well. Though I guess he wouldn't have used a full tank yet for him to need to fill up a whole tank. I'm just surprised he didn't take 4 tyres.
I think this race might actually be a 2-tire race, depending on how much I would say. Oh, left hand, right hand, right hand, right hand, then left hand again. It's kind of like this is kind of interesting. I'm actually doing the mathematics. If I'm doing my mathematics correct, there are 16 corners. Of the 16 corners, 9 corners are actually to the right hand side and 7 to the left hand side. But let me do it again. I'm doing it again.
I'd say it's fairly. The thing that surprised me though is the fact that you wouldn't need 4 tyres and that it's not a high-wear circuit. I would say that the tyres do go for a bit of a battering around here, but there you go. Unayama seems to maybe be out the race now. Not sure whether he's disconnected or just parked it, but it's not looking good, I'm afraid, for the number 13 that made a 56-second pit stop earlier on. Dropped down to 11th place from the podium positions after his lockup and incident in towards turn number 1. And unfortunately, that looks like it spelled the end of the day for the Talladega winner. Joined a fairly limited list of drivers who have won a race without making 50 PRO starts in the history of this championship. There's certainly more who haven't than have. So, sorry, more who have than haven't, I should say. And
yeah.
Amas is one of those. Into the pit lane comes Mike Richter as well. So early pit stops everywhere here. We're not even in halfway just yet.
Yeah, but you're in the window, so you can kind of do that. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but you're gonna have to nurse the tires in. And maybe the third split race, like you probably mentioned early on, could be a thing, but I'm not gonna bet on it. But wait, 10 left-hand corners, 6 right-hand corners.
Yeah, okay. Another half tank there for Richter. I didn't see the car go up on the jacks, but you'd imagine there were 2 tyres taken. As Richter goes taking the sharp left-hand turn in the exit of pit lane, right behind Jeff Chandler and Mathieu Denis. So Denis is still ahead of Richter, but actually the change there is that Richter's a bit further behind. Oh, and he goes flying into turn 3. Goodness me, he was lucky to avoid the wall there.
Well, it's a little bit of a heart to mouth moment right there. A good outlap heart to mouth moment.
We all enjoy one of those. As Scotty Johnson now has Stephen Kirby right behind. So Kirby has been pretty strong so far in this race, but I think held back by having Denis and Richter right ahead of him. Couldn't really show his speed, but now that he is got a bit of clean air in front, he's been able to catch Scotty Johnson pretty quickly here, and now he's battling for 5th place.
I was looking at Kirby's laps. You know, he was kind of like quickly, like quietly eating the pies by his extremities. Quietly eating the pies, the pies share by his extremity. So it's just slowly creeping in, doing some very consistent laps. So I think this is a guy that can surprise a lot of people maybe in the latter portions of the race, maybe just fighting for a top 5, we'll never know. But so far he's doing a really good job on keeping all those guys in front really honest. As Scaling is back again.
He is back in the race, which is good. Down the inside he goes, Jose Medina. That was a pass for position there for 13th. Mark Kalin pushes on, currently in 6th place in the drivers' points, despite a bit of a crash and a bash at Talladega 1 week ago, where he finished outside the top 10. Back into the battle for 5th we go. Still good that most of the drivers are continuing on in this race, even after problems. Mark Kalin's pit stop, for example, was nearly 5 minutes long.
There might be a reason, because the Roval for better or worse, it could be around that kind of split the field apart in terms of points, as Kirby's going to come into the pit lane. Because you got such a cluster calendar moving forward in the series. You got Las Vegas, you got Martinsville, you got Phoenix, where it could be around can provide a little bit of chaos, right? Where you have the dog leg and everything, you have Homestead down at the end, so you have alternatives to be chaotic for you. You just have to make the best of you early on. You have to set your record straight early on.
Now then, 4-tyre stop for Stephen Kirby, who I was going to say, will he come out behind or ahead of Denis and Richter? Well, that answer is obvious now because of the pit stop length, but be interesting to see what he can do with these new tyres now. Can he put them to good use in the final 34 minutes and maybe catch back up to the battle that he was previously a part of in the first half of this race?
That's a really good question. As now we're looking into problems for James O'Brien. He has, I think, Medina right in front of him, and I think lost a little bit of time. Not a little bit of time, chunks of time. 1.2's gap as close as it's ever been since race start. So the number 18
that's Kirby.
forward. Oh,
That's Kirby that he's come out right behind that.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like it might be.
No, it is, actually.
It's not helped him on the exit here as Perry just misses the apex at turn 8 a little bit. It's a bit more of a challenging turn 8 actually on this layout than it is in real life now, but I think the layout we have now makes a bit more sense, makes a bit more of a overtaking opportunity out of that hairpin, of course, when you're going out onto the back straight. Oh dear, as we've got a bit of smoke up ahead here, and they'll fly through, they'll be okay. But the lap car stays in between the two leaders as O'Brien is being run down now by Gabriel Perry in the 18.
Yeah, from what it looks like, I'm looking at the graphics right here. Looks to be Mark Allen, I think, had that spin on the chicane right there.
Perry now the one getting slowed down by lap traffic here, and he really needs to get through on it, and there he goes, diving down the inside at turn 1. He needed to make that move, but he has cost himself a little bit of time in doing so. Now the chase, though, is really on between these two. Just over 30 minutes remaining, and James O'Brien, it will be running, looking over his shoulder right now, looking for his first win of the season, of course. And Perry looking for his second, currently 7th place in the drivers' points. He's either win or bust so far this season, because he crashed out and finished second last, or last, I think, at Bristol in the opening week, then went on to win in Kansas. Then was outside the top 10 again last week at Talladega. Now he needs to knuckle down indeed and try and get back onto that top step again if he's going to make some gains on James O'Brien in the points lead.
Yeah, and you can see already Mark Allen giving a little bit away. Now the battle is basically mano a mano while Scotty Johnson goes into the pit lane. After his direct competition, Jeff Chandler and Kirby were actually in the pit lane, and Chandler probably having some issues though. Pit lane as well for the number 30.
It is. I think Brandon Walter got through on Johnson just before the stop, or indeed maybe he was doing it as Johnson came in, in which case would not be a particularly impressive overtake. But there we go, over the line again, and we are homing in on halfway. Just one more lap to go, and lap number 22 will be complete. In which case we will be at halfway of this 44 lap race here today. As there is Chandler getting his 4 tyres and back out onto the circuit again. There is an interesting split between 2 tyre calls and 4 tyre calls down on pit lane.
Yeah, because depending on how much you kind of wear down the right hands, if you give time just to let the pressure grow up a little bit, maybe you can match the what the left hand sides are doing. You're not pushing the left hand side as much as the right hand side are being pushed, so makes a little bit more sense, especially because you're in the oval. The oval is going to consume your right hand side more than your left hand side, right? So this is why it's interesting for me to see only right hand side changes. I'm looking forward to see what Perry and O'Brien does, because this dictates how the race will progress. I think they're going for right hand sides only, because for them kind of like so a little bit more sense. They've just been equal on pace as of now.
It's a very pressurized call. I mean, if I was O'Brien, I'd be tempted to take all 4, because he's being run down by Perry anyway on a pure battle between the two. I don't think he's going to win, so getting off strategy somehow, doing something a little bit different might be helpful. Goodness me, that was close. As Stephen Kirby just avoided Scotty Johnson in the 07, who now needs to get reversed quickly out of there, and does indeed get out of there quickly in towards turn number 1. That, for Kirby, would have been a hot-in-mouth moment as he tried to get past. There goes, there's the replay. Just seemed to bobble over the curb, Johnson, and spin into the wall. Kirby so close to him.
Kirby nearly had a Ricky Taylor moment at IMSA. He got lucky.
It was very close indeed. Kirby's of course running down. Denis and Richter up ahead after their tyre changes of a few moments ago. There are the two leaders again. Comfortably past halfway, but no pit stops yet. And maybe the fact they are waiting suggests it will be just a 2-tyre call and a splash of fuel whenever they require it.
Yeah, absolutely. What I really want to see is from their, if possible, try to get the cockpit from either O'Brien or Perry for you to actually know how they are handling the corners, especially these corners that need a more smooth reacceleration. Because one thing I've learned is smooth and fast right here. So look how it kind of lifts off the gas, smooth acceleration. You really don't want to go, you know, full paddle to the metal like you would normally do in a Formula car, right? Because if you do that, the rear end's just gonna come kick in on your car. There's too much horsepower, and the front's not gonna handle it so well. So you have to be smooth and consistent. That's how the pros do it on top level racing.
Absolutely. Could be a race-long battle now for the win here at Charlotte. On the Roval, the only road course round of the PRL Cup Series, and James O'Brien was in the wall there. Through turn 7, on the way towards turn 8. The wall that divides that part of the circuit from turns 1 and 2 there very much reared its head for James O'Brien, who hit the wall, and, well, he's carrying on for now, but is there any damage? Well, we'll find out, of course, in due course, but a big moment for the lead of the race as they make their way down towards the foreign chicane and they stay out again. That's Mike Richter just up ahead here, by the way, so another driver about to be put a lap down, and there's a few in the next 10-15 seconds or so to be put a lap down. That could affect this battle as well.
Absolutely. I think this will be a good case of... Well, it's kind of like multi-class racing if you think of sorts, right? You traffic gives and traffic takes, right? So you just, if you're the guy giving chase, maybe you can take advantage of how the traffic will work against your competitor right in front of you. So let's just say in this situation, the number 51 Richter just blocks the path of O'Brien and opens up a gap for you to do the overtake. Why not take it, you know?
Rob Bissell Jr. is now in the 3, and James O'Brien kisses the wall again, but this time so does Gabriel Perry. Goodness me. Getting very pressurised for these two now, as Mike Richter is put a lap down, although only by dint of the fact that he's made his pit stop already and the others haven't, as Bissell Jr. now makes his way to a stop. Changes the right sides at least. Will he go left sides and full service as well? He does go full service. So Brandon Walter goes through. Looks like Denis and Richter might well fancy their chances at going through as well here. Although Bissell Jr. is already done, and he stays ahead of Denis despite taking on those 4 tyres. So Rob Bissell Jr. is looking good for a top 5 finish here.
Yeah, got a little squirrely at the start, but the number 3 doing really good progress moving on and certainly taking home some really important points for his championship charge, maybe for top 5 or top 3.
This is Perry out of turn 4, sliding. Maybe realising that he doesn't need these tyres in the near future. He's going to change them soon. Really burning up the rears as O'Brien just begins to put over a second into Perry. This gap's extending for the first time in a while.
Not the first time he overcooks that infield backstretch corner outside of turn number 4. It's not the first. I've seen that being done before. I just wonder if that is actually putting too much pressure on the rears of the car and is hitting up way too much that he kind of has to cool down a little bit his driving style.
It isn't a good period of the race for Perry, that's for sure. Gap over a second and a half now. Maybe the tyres have fallen away from him. Maybe a pit stop is in order here for the 18. But he carries on. I mean, if we're acknowledging that everybody's going to make a stop here and things are starting to go the wrong way for Perry, I don't see why he doesn't put a stop to this and come into pit lane, to be honest.
I think he wants to go and kind of match what O'Brien is doing in terms of pit strategy and just leave the rest until the end of the race. It's a risky strategy, but if I'm me, like in their shoes right now, especially Perry's shoes, even, I would do the same thing.
But also, right now he's losing time doing the same thing as O'Brien, so surely by doing something different to him and coming in pit lane now, you could try and get onto new tyres and go quicker, or do a different strategy that might be quicker than O'Brien's. I don't see what benefit following O'Brien has when you're currently slower than the driver you're trying to catch.
I want to believe that was actually just a small blunder coming into the chicane right there, because the time is being cut again. So I think it was just a small blunder from the number 18. on his Ford Mustang to, you know, oh, I just took too much curb. There you go. And I just lost time. Because you can see again, the gap's coming down again.
Right. Sort of even up through that final chicane there. Now, does he make the call? Stays out again. More lap traffic ahead. That's Mathieu Denis just on the horizon there, by the way. So they're both pushing exceptionally hard into the final corners. Let's see what the lap times are this time round. 3 tenths better off for Perry. You might be right. He's just getting the feel back into the car again. Starting to get to grips with it all over again. But it's a very interesting battle, and so far Perry has not been anywhere near close enough to be making any move. It's just been about catching the leader and then following them, as he did for a few laps in the middle there.
Yeah, and you can see the lines are pretty much one and the same between them. It's just Perry is taking more, trying to take a little bit of a more smooth approach. I really want to see from O'Brien's perspective when he's coming out of the corners, especially the infield corners, if he's actually trying to do a little bit more of an earlier acceleration than Perry does. He's trying to just, as Perry, I think he's just trying to leave the car out of the corners, and does maybe putting more stress on the tires than the number 18 is actually is putting on that Ford Mustang.
That's a great middle sector from Perry that time round.
Absolutely.
It does have a bit of a flow to it when you get it right, the middle sector. Can feel a bit awkward and wrong when you don't get it quite so right, but when you do, it feels fantastic. You can just float from one corner to the next, and that will give Perry a bit of confidence. This lap time is going to be quite scarily good, I think, from Perry over the line. What's the time going to be? Well, it's about the same, actually. It was maybe a bit slower from O'Brien, 22.5 from him. Perry only half a second away from his best lap of the race so far. So there is a noticeable tyre drop-off. That much is clear, but it's not major enough for these two to come in, even nearly 40 minutes in now.
Yeah, but we have the old saying of racing, right? The catch is one thing, to overtake is another different beast. So let's see how the number 18 will handle moving forward.
Well, this is true. There's Rob Bissell Jr. on the back of Brandon Walter, who hasn't stopped yet. In the field. What are the last of the drivers to have not stopped? 4th out of 4. Rob Bissell Jr. looking to return to where he qualified by getting down the inside here, and that's going to be a pretty easy move for him. It looks like Rob Bissell Jr. has got enough at the moment to hang on to a top 5 position, although Mathieu Denis is chasing him down.
Yeah, I think he knows this is not his fight, because the best he's probably going to get is maybe 6th place, because then he might actually overtake him. And Kirby should be the one we should be looking for whenever the 99 comes out of the pit lane, because it's insane how the race of the 99 went, and he's probably gonna grab a spot just outside of the top 5.
Let's see, he's struggling with no tyres at the moment as we go on board with the leaders now. This is a very congested part of the standings as far as lap traffic is concerned, and maybe that's going to have a role to play here in this leading battle. So far, lap traffic has been relatively kind to them, but when there's 3 drivers fighting for positions in the top 5, it might be a little bit different.
Absolutely, and you can see, and you know what's interesting for me? You can see that the rears of O'Brien might be starting to give away a little bit, because he's getting more coming out of the acceleration. It's having to be much smoother around the corner to avoid his back end spinning way more than Perry does.
On the brakes, Perry deep on the brakes, using engine braking more than anything, and just gets it wrong on just as far as the exit is concerned. Shot it into the corner, but the exit not as good. Now, does he cut his losses and come in, or do they carry on again? Go round one more. 41 minutes in, and neither of these two have budged. Perry's gone deep this time and won't have a very good run at all, and just a couple of corners have gone, and O'Brien scampers away.
Yeah, the old cat and mouse game.
Making me wonder a little bit whether, for all Perry's speed, is he actually just going to spend the whole race stuck behind O'Brien here, or is he going to be able to manufacture an opportunity out of something?
It's a good question. And this is one question I might not have the answer for you, Ewan.
Well, let's see. Battle for 5th place overall will now be the focus for these two, as Brandon Walter tries to hang back on Machidini, although he pretty much lets him through, as he did with Robert Beanshaw Jr. Not sure why Walter's running quite so long here. However, he is, and that won't help O'Brien into the chicane. He will have been slowed up by that. Perry is closer than he's been for a while, but again, his exit out of the backstretch chicane, not very good.
It's weird that he kind of does a check-up movement coming into the transition from the left-hand side to the right-hand side and does losing time in the process. Brian pitting.
Wow. James O'Brien comes in from the lead. And Gabriel Perry decides to soldier on despite the lap traffic directly ahead of him, which could be a fatal mistake. Now, what about the pit stop here for James O'Brien? Will he take 2 tyres or will it be 4? You'd imagine with this length of race remaining, he stuck it out so long, it's got to be 2 tyres here.
Yeah, for me, it's right sides only.
He passes Jose Medina, who's making another pit stop. And looks like he's on his way to finishing 13th. No tyres, you say?
Odd.
This is a long stop. A very long stop.
Long.
Did he speed on pit lane, James O'Brien?
Oh, no.
Not sure. But this is a very long stop for James O'Brien. Seen him in the wall a couple of times. Damage might be playing a role, but it could also be speeding. And now finally goes, it wasn't speeding. I don't think it was long enough, but that's a very long stop. 32.5 seconds. That could be the race.
We're only going to know if it is speeding whenever we actually talk to him on the post-race interview.
Well, whatever it is, might well have just cost him the race there, unless Gabriel Perry has to do something similar. And that seems doubtful. Because of the spread of field, though, it looks like James O'Brien is still on course to at least finish 2nd, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, which is not going to be a bad result, though. But of course, on the whole scape of things, for him, it's going to be disastrous.
Well, it's another race without a win. Of course, he's been leading the point standings ever since Kansas, round 2. However, he still hasn't won a race, and that might extend through 4 weeks now, unless Perry is tripped up here. This is Machidini right ahead of him, who now pulls out the way end towards turn number 8, and Perry can now slide through. I wonder whether he'll just run this tank dry or try to, and then splash at the end of the race. According to your numbers earlier, he might have another 4 or 5 laps to go yet.
Yeah, man. All I'm going to say is what happened to James is providing some really good discussions on our YouTube chat. And I'm curious to see how this one will progress. And I'm thinking, if Perry wins, is this a 4th actual repeat winner? We're going to have every single race in the season so far a different winner.
No, not quite. Perry won at Kansas, of course.
Oh yeah, true. I remember you said earlier in the broadcast. I dorked down.
Yeah, I mean, there was certainly a good chance of 4 different wins in 4 rounds, actually, because O'Brien still hadn't won one, and he was leading for a while in this race. But yeah, it looks like that may have got away. I mean, to go 3 in 3 is fairly impressive. So pleased with that, because we don't often get to see that. I mean, for season 2 earlier on this year, by the way, we had not 3 different winners in 3 different races, but the same winner in the first 3 races. Trent Dinkle took the first 3 races of season 2. Abner Acosta took the first 2 races of season 1. So this is the first season this year in which we haven't had a consecutive winner in weeks 1 and 2.
Interesting.
Unusual. Another word for it. But
yeah, you could say that. You could say that. By the way, I was looking. Christian is actually the fastest car on the track. I know he's light, but it's impressive despite everything that has transpired on loose race, spinning out, you know, just having a hit in the wall as well. he's able to do 21s and be very consistent in this race.
By the way, in terms of the overall standings today, because James O'Brien is here and the two ahead of him are not, so he will make some gains there, ahead of the likes of Luke Christian and Pat Harvey, who are both within 40 points of him as well, and both here today. It's been a good drive so far from Luke Christian, actually. He's done a good job. And of course is making his 100th PRO start here today, and might even be on the podium as well. He does have a couple of wins to his name down the years. Doesn't look like today will be one of those days, but nevertheless, he's hitting the big milestone of number 100 today in the number 21. Currently running in the point standings in 17th place after missing Talladega 1 week ago. So gain him some points, no doubt, in the field. Just down to just 3 on the lead lap now as we're waiting for Gabriel Perry to make his pit stop along with Luke Christian as well. And once that happens, James O'Brien will be up back into second place, but he won't be into the lead as a result of that 32-second pit stop that we're going to have to try and get to the bottom of with him after the race. "12 minutes to go. Gabriel Perry still leads, and Brandon Walters in again here. Oh, sorry, for the first time actually. So there's a view as to someone who has taken their fuel almost as long as it would take them, and Luke Christian's in as well. Maybe this will be the last lap for Perry.
Yeah, makes sense. Because he's hitting 36 laps. A max, like we've talked about, might be 37. So and furthermore, this is actually a hotter weather than what the open setups are actually kind of doing. So you can even go a little bit longer than this, maybe 38, depending on how the weather is actually on in the track. If it is like 100 Fahrenheit. So interested to see how this will progress on as Christian coming out in front of James Bryan. Oh boy!
Wow, that's a surprise. I thought the gap was big enough actually, but Luke Christian 7.6 seconds in the box. If he'd have taken any more service, then he would have been behind O'Brien, but looks like there will be a chase for second place then.
Yep.
And there's Gabriel Perry going pretty much to the limit of the fuel after 36 laps. So maybe not quite as far as we thought he could go, but still quite far. And that brings the 18 onto pit lane. Just a normal and regular length pit stop here will do the trick for the 18. Caden's got some damage there, hasn't he? He's repairing that currently. There's the 6.8 seconds in the box, and off he goes again.
Fastest pit stop in the race so far.
Is it overall? I've got Mathieu Denis going quicker than that.
Yeah, but I think didn't he pit it before? Didn't he pit it earlier? I could be wrong.
Denis pitted a little bit earlier, yeah, but it's still for a regular length pit stop. So
yeah, it makes sense.
Still counting
could be. Yeah, could be.
Perry then leads by 24 seconds. He'll be cruising at this point. The battle's going to be for second place between Luke Christian and James O'Brien. Can O'Brien regain that second place that, of course, he lost in that really long stop?
I'm wondering, I think he put no tires because from what we saw in the cameras, I was actually looking on our broadcast replay on YouTube, the perks of having YouTube and being able to look in the replay. I didn't see the car go up in the jack, did you? Did you see something like that? I didn't see
Perry?
it. For O'Brien.
Oh, for O'Brien, no, I didn't know.
No,
and
and
in any case, even if you'd taken 4 tyres, it wouldn't have taken that long.
Yeah, so I think right now there is a possibility for him to go on, but Christian just out of the gate once again being really, really fast. Actually, he's being faster than Perry on an average basis.
O'Brien, of course, will be leading the championship at the end of this race, almost no matter what happens here. Gabriel Perry started the day 31 points behind him. Luke Christian started the day 66 points behind him, so he will be the points leader by an extended margin as well, certainly more than the 5 he currently heads Jean-Michel Gagnon, because the Gagnon isn't here. However, it is still not a day that James O'Brien will be particularly pleased with. I think he must be itching to get that win now.
Maybe it's a potential, yes.
So just less than 8 minutes to go. Let's see. This is not Luke Christian. James O'Brien is catching, by the way. Gap seems to be growing to nearly 4 seconds now. The 21 is beginning to motor now. And it's lap traffic that James O'Brien will be negotiating here. This looks like Stephen Kirby to me.
Yeah, it looks, the paint in the back looks like Medina's, but in the front it looks like the light blue from Kirby. Yeah.
See who it is when we get a little bit closer here, but looks like none of this is really going to matter. Looks like O'Brien is going to be able to hold on to third, but not going to be able to get up to second as down the inside he goes in towards turn number 1. Maybe doesn't look like he quite has the speed last time round. A 22.6 from Luke Christian, 22.6 also from James O'Brien. So actually no time lost as far as that goes, but still no time lost is it's not great news when you're more than 3 seconds behind.
No, not at all. And I think at this point of the race where you have like 5 or 6 more laps, you need to basically just hammer down, give everything you can left in the car, and unfortunately I don't think the 33 has enough in the tank. Well, he has enough in the tank, but I don't think he has enough in the grip to actually get closer to Luke Christian. And while the gap is steady at 3.9 to 4 seconds between the 21 and the 33, with 5.5 laps to go.
6 minutes as well. Looks like we are going to get our 44 laps throughout this race. Other battles on the circuit, I think, are pretty obsolete at this stage. Brandon Walter maybe being caught by Scotty Johnson a little bit here, and Stephen Kirby as well. However, they're not really battles going on at the moment. They are a lap down as well, these guys, don't forget. But some good gains and losses made by those in the field today. Gabriel Perry is the biggest mover forward indeed today. Mathieu Denis has made a good fist of things as well as Stephen Kirby, who of course didn't qualify today. But plenty of drivers have been moving through the field rather nicely.
Yeah.
Robert Pistol Jr. managing to find himself exactly where he started this race, in 4th position. But just 5 minutes to go. There's going to be plenty of drivers pleased and plenty of drivers not so pleased with their efforts today.
Yeah, they're probably going to have to know that the remainder of the championship needs to be pitch perfect, like Kalen, Lamas. Harvey, I would say maybe as well, to maybe think about a top 5. So there is that potential off a top 5, so it needs to be consistent for the remainder of the championship. What is going to be interesting for me is how the championship maybe shapeshift after Perry's win. I don't think he's going to be in the standings lead, and if he is in the standings lead, he might be actually close.
He's not going to be anywhere near. He's 31 points behind at the moment, so he's going to be nowhere near. He'll chop off maybe 10% of that margin. Oh dear, as Brandon Walter goes wide here at turn 1 and lets someone through on the inside there. That will cost him some time to Scotty Johnson, although Johnson didn't have a very good lap, and so Stephen Kirby is catching up to him with 4 minutes to go, but we're clutching at straws a little bit there. 2 seconds is the margin between those two, with just about 4 minutes to go.
And now we need to start to get prepped for the next round, right? I think this is a good way to kind of like segue. I think next round, Las Vegas, so
it's a couple of more traditional 1.5 miles coming up. with Las Vegas and Homestead. Those typical medium ovals, if you like. Medium length. Going from the 2.5 miles, of course, Talladega, down to 2.28 for the Roval here. And then back to normality for Vegas and Homestead. And then the shortest on the calendar, Martinsville, for round 7. That's on the 3rd of November. Oh, as Stephen Kirby has a spin out of the chicane. What on earth was that all about? That looks a little bit like a technical failure of some description. That was very weird.
I'm slightly surprised as well. Really want to look on the replay to see if that was actually something, maybe the wheel started to fall off or monitor and causes the spin, because that was really odd.
Oh, well, he's left tire marks down the track at... here we go. Yep, there you are. The wheel has disconnected entirely, and the pedals have both pressed on 100% as well. Input, so that's the wheel disconnecting there, and default settings taking over. As that has rather spoilt that battle. Stephen Kirby will finish down in 11th in that case, as Gabriel Perry comes through the final chicane to take 2 to go.
What a drive from the number 18, man. I said that he was a potential sleeper in this race. We never expected him to be such a sleeper in this race. Of course, Harvey removed, Kalen not having the best of days, Lama's just not having the best of days at all, but still. That is quite surprising to see the number 18 have such a mid-late strong stint and do the overtake on Ryan, but of course O'Brien having his issue, of course, played an effect in this win.
I think the fact that he topped practice told us a little bit about something that he can do, but then to have that qualified performance 1.5 seconds behind where the pole sitter James O'Brien was a real surprise. Of course, we'll ask him about qualifying in our post-race interview in a few moments' time, but you know, there must have been a mistake in qualifying that actually made his job today quite a lot more difficult, and actually at times made it look like he would run out of time to catch James O'Brien and try and make that pass for the win.
Yeah, that makes sense. But of course, this is something like I usually don't take practice for granted. Of course, you can kind of like say really a really good time as we got the white flag. So it's like surprise, but then again, it's Gabriel Perry. We know he's very good. He's won Kansas. So interesting how this will go on as Bissau having issues.
Heartbreak for Robert Bissau Jr., who's hit the wall here from 4th place on the very final lap of the race. And it looks like he'll retire from there. He'll drop down to finish 10th, I'm afraid, at the end of this one as a result of that. But on the final lap now, Gabriel Perry is having his moment. We'll be applying drop rounds after Vegas in 1 week's time, and it will show us that actually he's very close to James O'Brien indeed when those are applied. Less than 10 points, in fact. It could be a real race for the championship between those two. Maybe throwing in Abner Acosta as well. What a fight we could be in for in Season 4 of 2024 in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series. Gabriel Perry is going to become the first driver this season to win 2 races. It's taken him 2 races longer than it's taken anybody else in the 2 seasons prior to this one in 2024. But better late than never. Gabriel Perry has 2 wins in the Cup Series, the second of which comes at the Roval in dominant style. Nearly half a minute ahead of Luke Christian and James O'Brien in 2nd and 3rd.
What a drive from Gabriel Perry, man, and deservedly so, earning this win here at Charlotte. And of course, this is going to be a heartbreak for O'Brien. There was a promise right there. Luke Christian with a very early to late stage resurgence. You know, I thought he probably would have been fighting for outside of the top 5, but that 2nd place that came in clutch for him might actually do wonders for his championship charge for the top 3, potentially top 5.
Yeah, Walter just hangs on to a top 5 there ahead of Scotty Johnson over the line. And the battles, Jeff Chandler and Mike Richter are only 3 seconds apart. But they should finish in the order they're in at the moment, barring any major problems, into the final chicane, which has been surprisingly quiet here this evening. No major incident through there of note. And after Richter, it will be Pat Harvey to round out the field and round out this race here at the Charlotte Roval here this evening. There goes Harvey over the line in 9th. So it's Gabriel Perry who takes the win by 28 seconds in the end of Luke Christian on his 100th start in the PRL tonight. James O'Brien will be disappointed with third, I would imagine. Masha Denis was the first car 1 lap down ahead of Brandon Walter, with Scotty Johnson chasing him down right to the end. Jeff Chandler finished a few seconds ahead of Mike Richter, with Pat Harvey, the last driver, 1 lap down. Rob Bissell Jr.'s late crash there dropped into 10th, rather disappointingly. 11th place for Stephen Kirby after that relatively late crash for him. Jesse Medina dropped 10 laps pretty early on. Mark Kaelin spent quite a long time in that pit lane and finished 16 laps down. Unai Yamas retired in the first half of that race. Let's chat to James O'Brien then, who finished third in that one here at the Roval tonight. Welcome in, James. Good to have you with us. And it was a good lap from yourself that got you pole. You held on to the lead through nearly 40 minutes of this race, but then a 32-second pit stop seemed to set you a long way back. Well, just what happened during that pit stop there?
Actually, it was kind of ridiculous. I barely touched the wall in 6, and I got a 2X with a meatball for kind of just brushing the wall. I'm not sure why, really. And then it knocked my toe link out, and then I had some required repairs. And then the rest of the race, I was driving with the oval set up in it. It had so much rear toe in it, and I was just driving sideways. But it's a shame. I don't think I was going to be able to hold on to the win. Second probably would have been the best I had, but third's all right.
That sounds like you were pretty unlucky, to be honest, by the sounds of that. What are you assessing this first 4 races of the season as? You still haven't managed to get a win, but you're still leading the points by an even bigger margin now. So are you pleased with the first 4 rounds?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I normally do. I don't win a lot, but I'm always just kind of hanging out up front. I hate that Abner wasn't here with us. Hurricane Milton hit both of us, and he just got his power back yesterday, but has no internet. And he's usually the road course legend here, so I wish he was around to race with us. But yeah, I'm just going to keep trying to do what I do every week.
All right, we look forward to seeing it again next week at Vegas. Thanks for chatting to us tonight, though, James, and congratulations on third place.
Thank you, sir.
James O'Brien, third place tonight here at the Roval. Let's work our way up the podium today, shall we, and go to Luke Christian, who finished in second. Welcome in, Luke. Good to have you with us as well on, as I'm sure you're aware, your 100th PRL start here today. How was that for you? Finishing second place in the end, holding on from James O'Brien in the final few laps of that race. How was it?
It was fun. Yeah, I was just honestly, my plan was just smooth and slow and stay out of the wall as much as I could. Haven't practiced that much, so I couldn't throw down too many hot laps to be consistent. So just kind of backed up into that second. But hey, second's a second. So.
Exactly. I mean, what's this Roval like compared to the one that we saw in real life Cup Series racing a few hours ago, where there's that big overtaking opportunity of a hairpin just before the banking? Are you looking forward to getting the newer layout into iRacing, or would you quite like to keep this one?
Yeah, I think I like the new one from the race today. It seemed like it had a lot of good passing. You know, some guys throwing it in there, making some inside passes. I think that'll be good. But I like this one too. I'm a sucker for road courses, which you guys probably see me in the GT3 now. So I'm kind of doing a little bit more road. Maybe that's what helped me a little bit tonight too.
Maybe. Unfortunately, this is the only road course of the Cup Series season this time round, but hopefully we can see road course racing in other series for the remainder of the season. Lou, thanks very much for coming to chat to us. Congratulations on second place tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Luke Christian there in second place, just behind Gabriel Perry, who is tonight's race winner by 28 seconds. Welcome in, Gabriel. Good to have you with us here tonight as well. I mean, winner in the end by some distance, but you qualified a second and a half off of pole. Just tell us what happened in qualifying, first of all.
This track is really slick. I don't know what turn it is, but before you get on the oval, that wall is it wrecks your car even if you tap it. So in qualifying, I tapped it, and I think I got an X anyway. So ruined my qualifying lap. I think it just took my first lap. Tires are cold, so I couldn't really get a good lap in there.
And then what about the race? I mean, how confident were you that you'd be able to make your way through the field and get that track position back to get back up towards the front?
Yeah, I had no idea. Slowly, my plan was just, again, it's a slick track. I mean, there is no grip here. My plan, starting that far back, I was just hoping people messed their own race up. A couple of people did. Somebody got disconnected, unfortunately. And then I was racing with James there the entire time. I don't know what happened to him in the pits. I came out of the pits and I was like 25 seconds ahead. I pit a little later because I'm just not super good in traffic. So I felt I would have more pace after he pit, and I think that worked out.
Thoughts on the point situation now that you've gained a bit more on James O'Brien, and with the drop weeks involved, you'd be very close on points. How are you feeling about the final 5 rounds in that respect?
I don't know what the point situation is. I have 2 wins. I would assume I'm probably top 5. I'm just gonna, show up and try to win. Bristol and road courses are my least favorite tracks, so I at least pulled 1 out of 2 there. Looks like we got Vegas and I think probably Homestead or something coming up. I'm pretty good at, not pretty good, but I feel more comfortable at 1.5 mile tracks. So I'm feeling pretty confident. I know Abner unfortunately couldn't make it because of the hurricanes. I'm pretty sure he's really good at road courses. I haven't raced with him too much, so he might have taken this one, but feeling pretty good going in the next couple of races for sure.
Well, yeah, if you're comfortable at 1.5 miles, you'll enjoy the next 2 weeks, certainly at Vegas and Homestead, so we look forward to seeing that for rounds 5 and 6. Thanks for just coming to chat to us, though, and congratulations on the win.
Yeah, guys, appreciate it. Thanks for broadcasting.
Thanks very much. Gabriel Perry there, the winner here tonight at the Roval. Well, that's just about going to do it for us here tonight on RaceSpotTV. It was an hour of racing here at the Roval, a hard slog for some, but it'll be very much a relief to get on to Vegas here in a few weeks' time. Indeed, 1 week's time. 9 p.m. Eastern will be live again. I'm sure some drivers will be relieved to get onto the oval after the hard slog of the road courses over the course of tonight's racing. Still 4 more nights of racing to come here on RaceSpotTV, of course, as the PRL is in full swing here for Season 4 of 2024. We'll be live tomorrow night once again from 9 p.m. Eastern with some more multi-class racing this time around. Tonight, though, it's Gabriel Perry's night here at the Charlotte Roval. Round 4 of the PRL Cup Series goes to him. Join us again in 1 week's time when we'll be going racing at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But for now, from myself, Ian Leary, Lorenzo Bonda and Hugo Luis behind the cameras, it's goodbye for now, and we'll see you in Vegas.